Hmm. You know, I just can't put my finger on it, but something is in the air today. And people have been acting very, very strange as of late. It started this morning after my bike ride. I went to our local Food Lion, which is our local grocery store, and I met up with a few of the workers there, people I've talked to in the past that usually are very friendly. And today was no different, except for the fact that they weren't very chatty this time. They asked me a few questions like, how was your day? How was your exercise and your fitness goals going? And I said, I'm doing just fine. I'm meeting and exceeding all those goals. And, I stayed there for a few minutes and then left. And after that, I went and took my Tahoe up to the local thrift store. Didn't really expect to find anything, and I really didn't. They didn't have much of a chance to put anything out. And I talked to the person behind the counter, guy I've known for a while. Face was red, obviously working very, very hard today. And then I went over to our local U-Haul place, which is now a thrift store as well. They sell basically the items that people leave behind. And man, wouldn't you know it, the same thing there. The guy behind the counter was not quite as chatty as he usually is. And again, he had kind of a red face and he looked really tired. And then I went into Food Lion. I needed the other Food Lion because I couldn't find what I needed at our local one. So I went over to this Food Lion to shop for some items for dinner. And when I got in there, I noticed an older couple. It was actually two guys, looked like maybe a father and a son, and really older father, maybe in his 80s. The son was probably in his 60s. The father was in a wheelchair or one of those powered like rascal chairs, and the son was paying for the groceries. And again, I saw them and they had a red face and they just looked really tired. And I'm like, man, what is going on? Have the aliens landed? Has something mysterious happened? I mean, I couldn't put my finger on it. So I got home and then I realized something, and this had to have been around 4 o'clock. It's hot out. It is so hot. I can't take it anymore. Come on, people. Are you really that dense? Do you really think I believed that aliens were coming down to snatch us up? Come on. You guys didn't really buy that, did you? Oh, I hope you guys enjoyed my little joke there. I was working on that pretty much all day long. I wanted to give you guys something new, something kind of funny. And since everybody out there is still dealing with this heat wave, I mean, everybody I've talked to that watches this pretty much, with the exception of those of you that are over in Australia, you're really lucky. So I hope you enjoyed that little skit. No, but seriously, little bit of news on this heat wave that we've all been having to deal with the past week. It is finally going to let up tomorrow. Tomorrow, about afternoon, at least in our area, we are going to be going from a heat index of about 110 to a heat index of maybe 90, but the actual temperature is actually going to be in the high 70s to low 80s. So those of you out there that really like the cooler weather, all you got to do is wait about 24 more hours from right now. And I hope I didn't scare anybody there. I just wanted to try something a little different. George Stewart says Orson Welles did that and half the country believed it. Well, heck, I'd do that. I get a lot of ratings if I did that. Maybe get a lot more subscribers too. I don't know. What do you think? And yeah, I did see Milo right there. And if you look right here, there is a Mr. Baxter right there. He's smirking for the camera. Look at that. What, buddy? Yeah, you're hot too, aren't you? You guys are trying to stay cool. just like the rest of us. And I actually had to do some work on the Tahoe today. So I went out early for a bike ride, bike rode 10.5 miles between 8 and 9 this morning. Then I got home, made some lunch after that. I actually ate breakfast before the bike ride. And then I went and walked about another 4 miles inside. I was basically going up and down the steps. And that put me at right about 2:30, which is when I went out and I had to do some electrical work to the Tahoe. There were some issues with the rear speakers. The person that installed them did a half, you guys can fill in the rest of that, you know what job. And he didn't actually connect the ground wire tightly, because it sounded like one of the speakers was cutting out. So I had to go in there, I had to reattach the ground wire properly, and now all 6 speakers sound really good in the Tahoe. And one thing that really surprised me is the way, being a 96, that it actually had a 6-speaker setup. It actually has 4 speakers. Basically, I think they're 6.5-inch speakers, 2 in the front door and 2 in the back door. And then it actually has separate tweeters in the middle of the front doors, towards the front, like right behind, I'm going to say in front of the window controls. I think those are like little 2.5-inch tweeters. And somebody actually changed out all the speakers in that Tahoe, so it actually sounds really good. I have an aftermarket Sony Explode stereo in there right now, and somebody put in the matching speakers. So now that that's fixed, I have really good tunes coming out of that Tahoe. Tyler goes, it's nice here. I got the window open today. Man, I tell you, you guys in the Midwest, other than having to deal with snow in the winter, you guys got it lucky for the summer. A lot of you out there have lower humidity. You might have higher temperatures than we do, like official higher temps, but you guys have much lower humidity. I know a lot of times you guys don't even get humid. The humidity doesn't even go past like the 60 or 65% range. Jonathan Grindle, 113 this week, but today with a 20% rain that hasn't rained in months. Well, that's good, because, droughts are no joke. Years ago, California had been dealing with them, and I think they're finally out of it now, like Northern California, like San Francisco area, even up to Sonora and Jamestown, where my uncle lives. They had dealt with that for years. And of course, other than not having enough water to drink and to water your garden with, the other side of that is there were wildfires that went crazy, because when the ground's that dry for that long, everything is like kindling. I mean, just a single spark from anything lights wildfires like you wouldn't believe. So this is not going to be a super long live stream, but I figured I would just try something a little bit different. Those of you that are here, I always appreciate it. And if you want me to try to do some more skits like that in the future, let me know. I'll try to think up some things like that. If you are a fan of Robert Dyer's channel, I try to do something like his Tarnation Bob character. I kind of got the inspiration from that. I didn't copy it, which I never would do, because I hate it when one YouTuber copies another YouTuber's format. I know some people find it flattering. I usually don't, unless they ask me first. Like I know some YouTubers out there, I'm not going to mention names, that have tried to copy my format, but they've always asked me first. They're like, hey, Matt, do you mind if I try doing something that you've done in the past? And I'll usually say, yeah, go for it. But it's always nice to ask first. Jonathan Grindle says, by the way, Walmart has Pioneer system with speakers for vehicles, $70. Yeah, Walmart, our local Walmart has some really good audio equipment too. I honestly don't think I'm going to need to change that one out for a while. The only thing that it doesn't have is Bluetooth, but honestly, I really don't care about that, because I'm just going to buy one of those little Bluetooth speakers that attach to the visor, like I have in my LeSabre. This particular Sony Explode stereo, it's a few years old, but it does have the USB port and the auxiliary audio in, where I can hook up a headphone jack, hook up my cell phone via the headphone jack to the actual unit and listen to music that way. You should add a backup camera to the Tahoe. Don't laugh. I have actually considered it. Now, I wouldn't want to do the wiring. The wiring would be a bear. So probably if I do something like that, I would go with a wireless unit. Eric Brunhammer and I were talking about that, and he's got some recommendations for me. They have a lot of really nice wireless backup cameras. Basically, all you would need to do is you get the actual screen, and you fish the wire through to either hardwire it to one of the circuits via fuse, or a lot of people just attach a cigarette lighter adapter and put in one of the power ports, and then you literally just mount that on your dashboard. And then the only other thing you got to do is literally take the camera that it comes with and bolt it to the bumper, and that's all she wrote. Very convenient now, and actually they've gotten a lot better when it comes to signal reception. The early ones would cut out all the time, but now that they're in the 5-6 gigahertz bandwidths, you really don't have a lot of issues with that. Yeah, I know a lot of the modern phones do not have headphone jacks. Excuse me. Sorry, a little too much noise going on downstairs. Hint, hint. Yeah, I know a lot of the new iPhones don't have headphone jacks, but there are ways around that. Usually, there are adapters you can buy. Like I know with the iPhone, you can buy an adapter that plugs into the lightning port, and then the other end is a headphone jack. So there's always ways around that. And yeah, I realize that most people nowadays have Bluetooth in their cars, and that's how they're going to hook up their phones and listen to music. But that's just not the way I roll. I try to rock it old school if at all possible. And to be perfectly honest with you, ever since I got the Tahoe, all I've been doing is listening to CDs and the radio, and that's actually kept me happy. I mean, heck, I probably have 1,000 CDs around the house, so I can listen to almost anything I want. And another cool feature of that radio is actually has MP3 capability. So I can burn, if you guys remember back in the early 2000s, it was all the rage. You could actually burn an MP3 CD, which will hold somewhere in the range of 400 to 500 songs. And that's what I've been doing. And I actually had a lot of those burnt from a previous vehicle that I owned. Okay, so apparently Awesome Computer says the Moto G5 does have a headphone jack. Yeah, my Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus does as well. I don't know why they got rid of them. It probably has something to do with the fact that getting rid of the headphone jacks probably saves them 50 cents to $1 on each unit they produce. It's really sad that that happens, but that's the way it is with big business, unfortunately. Yeah, most cheap phones do have it, which is kind of odd. You would think the opposite. You think the more expensive phones would have it and the cheaper ones wouldn't. But again, the big companies are dealing in such volume that even a savings of 50 cents to $1 per phone or per unit is big money to them. It just is. Okay, so I think this is time for a fitness update. You guys are probably wondering, again, how I'm doing in this really bad, hot, humid days. Am I actually getting all my exercises? And those of you that were late to the stream, yes, I am. As a matter of fact, the way I've been combating the heat, instead of getting up at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, which is when I usually get up during most of the year, now I'm getting up around 7, having my breakfast at 7:30, and I'm out on my bike by 8 a.m. and I ride for 1 hour, which usually gets me anywhere between 8 to 10 miles, depending on how much energy I have that day. So I get home around 9, which is just around the time that the heat starts to build and it gets really hot, because around midday is when you have the hottest of the temperatures. So that's when I get home, and then I do the rest of my exercise inside. Sometimes I'll do strength training, which I haven't done recently because the bike riding kind of takes that place. But I'll run up and down the stairs. I'll do these. I know I showed you this before where you punch it, you basically punch the air. So on top of the 10-mile bike ride or 10.5-mile bike ride I did today, I have also done 15,241 steps, which means I've burned 3,625 calories, not counting the bike ride. The bike ride was 1,000 calories. You have to add 1,000 calories to that, which means today I've burned about 4,600 calories. So the moral of this part of the vlog is you still can get your daily exercises in. You just have to be creative about it. And yes, I realize people that are not self-employed, they work those 9-to-5 jobs. It is a little bit harder to do. But there are other options out there. You can go to your local gym. That's what they're there for. I actually do have a gym membership to Planet Fitness that I pay $10 a month for, that I haven't been to in probably 8 months now. I probably should wind up canceling that. But it's great if you have no other choice. Me personally, I really like exercising outdoors. I'm not really a gym person. Jonathan Grindle asked, do you still use the computer in the home theater in your room? If not, you should use the HP Mini PC instead. Yeah, I think you made that recommendation before. I actually don't. He's talking about this computer right here. That's a Dell XPS 8300, I believe. It's a second-gen Core i7. I actually built it. Rebuilt it probably about a year ago, and I think I've used it twice, mainly because I don't usually sit in that alcove. I'm usually working on the computer here, or at night I'm laying on my bed watching the bigger TV here. So probably I'm going to be selling that computer. I really want to hold on to it because it is still a nice computer. It's got a 250 gig SSD boot drive in it, but I'm not using it, so what's the point? This is what I have learned over the years, and this has served me well. If you don't use something within 6 months, get rid of it, because chances are you're not going to use it. Now, some people will augment that. They'll say if you don't use it within 8 months, or I think other people will also say using it within a year. But for me, I find if I don't use it within 6 months, I might as well sell it, because again, something like that is just going to keep losing value. And then when the time does come that I want to have a computer there again, like Jonathan said, I could use that HP Mini, which is also sitting downstairs and really not being used. Or my other idea is I'm probably going to be replacing this computer, the Dell XPS 8700, maybe within the next 6 months to a year. So probably what will wind up happening is I'll take this computer, put it over there, relegate this to a media center system, and then purchase a new XPS, which is probably what I'm going to do. I know you guys probably want to see me build another computer from scratch like I did many years ago, but honestly, I just don't have the time or really the passion to do it anymore. I really enjoy the Dell XPSs, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until Dell has another special, like when they're getting ready to release the new models, and I'm just going to go ahead and buy another XPS. Awesome computers. I just do 50 crunches and 50 push-ups a day and maybe ride my bike to the store to look at electronics, which is like a mile or so away. Yeah, do what works for you. Crunches are really good if you're trying to firm up your midsection. And yeah, I do still need to firm this up. A lot of this, unfortunately, is still loose skin. So doing the crunches like that will firm that up, and I'll probably add that into my exercises sooner or later. But right now, it's hard for me to keep the pace at what I'm already doing. And that's another good thing I should tell you guys. It's good to switch it up. So if you do a lot of walking now, maybe switch to bike riding, or if you do a lot of bike riding, go ahead and switch to walking, because your body will get used to the type of exercise that you're doing. So by switching from one exercise to another, you're going to help your body lose more weight. You're actually going to lose weight even quicker. Awesome Computer says, I have stuff that I haven't used in over 5 years. Man, sell it, because if you haven't used it in that long, chances are you're probably not going to use it again. And think of it this way: you can actually use the money you get from selling it to buy things that you are going to use, or things that you want to maybe use for projects. That's just the way I look at it. Some people are hoarders. I used to be a hoarder. When I was younger, I didn't want to throw anything away. My room was filled, like there was no empty floor space at all. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that there's always more stuff out there. People acquire stuff all the time. If I want more stuff, I'll just go to garage sales and buy it. So it's no skin off my back to sell that computer there or that TV there, because I know inevitably I could take that money and buy something else with it. Excuse me. Getting dry again here, people. WWSOLS. Did you end up selling all the Dell Precision computers that you bought on the pallet last year to fix up? Oh man, I know I've told the story before, but this is a real good one. I'm gonna make it really quick though, because apparently you didn't hear about this one. I really almost totally lost out on that pallet. It turns out that all those computers had suffered some form of electrical spike or surge or an ESD, probably a lightning strike, because the majority of those computers wound up having bad power supplies. And honestly, it really wasn't, at the time, it really wasn't worth me buying replacement power supplies, because at the time, the only ones I could find were like $60 to $80 a piece. And when I factor in the cost of the computers, the cost of adding hard drives and memory, because most of those computers didn't even have hard drives, it really wasn't worth doing. So what I wound up doing is I got the systems together that had their power supplies replaced already, which was maybe out of the 36, maybe about 8 of them. And then I wound up buying about 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would have been 13. And then there were maybe another 5 or 6 that the power supplies were okay. So we're up to 18 now. So basically half those computers that were on that pallet, I just scrapped immediately. I just took them as a loss. And then the other 18 I did refurbish, and I sold on. And honestly, a few of those have come back and had bad power supplies too. So I broke even. I even made a little bit of a profit, but it wound up being a total disaster. I know I promised you guys that I was going to do a video of one of those showing you how I refurbished them. But honestly, I was just so disgusted with the whole mess. I just plumb forgot. So again, I apologize about that. But it's kind of a lesson to you if you're buying things like that off eBay, pallets of computers. Be very, very, very careful, because the seller that I got this from, believe it or not, had 99.7% positive feedback. So they had literally one bad feedback, had nothing to do with a pallet of computers or any computer equipment he sold. But what it was this was a computer warehouse in North Carolina. Basically, they would buy out companies that were getting rid of their old IT equipment. They would buy it, put it in the warehouse, and then sell it on through eBay. And I don't really fault the guy for this. I don't think he honestly knew that these computers had suffered some form of electrical surge or spike. But I'm going to digress on that point. It was just a whole mess. I probably wouldn't do it again unless I found a really, really, really good deal. That's all right. I'm glad you asked. If you guys have a question for me that you want answered, I will chances are I will feel free to answer it. Now, if it's something really personal, I will tell you that I'm just going to say it's none of your business, or I'd rather not answer that. But if it's something like that, yeah, of course. I mean, I absolutely don't mind answering those questions. Yeah, I see a bunch of questions from Pradkins. Now, Pradkins, remember, please actually ask me questions. Just don't make statements, because I can't really do anything with those. So last thing he said, do you not get married? I think he meant, did I ever get married? No, I haven't been married. Will I ever get married? I don't know. I haven't found the right person yet. I've dated, I've had girlfriends, I've had some very, very close girlfriends, but I've never actually been close to the altar. Um, you know what? I believe the Lord has somebody for me out there. I have people praying for me all the time that I find the right person. And when I find the right person, and if we really love each other and we think we're compatible, yeah, absolutely, I would consider getting married. Tall dude 123, how is the battery life on your Galaxy S9 Plus? My battery life has been pretty bad. The battery health is 95% after 6 months. Yeah, that's degrading pretty quickly because I'd have to say mine is about a year now. I've had mine for about a year, and my battery health is at 99%. I can get a whole day's use out of my phone and still have maybe about 40 to 45% charge. I'll tell you what I run, and I honestly don't know if it helps that much. It might just be like a placebo effect, but I honestly think it does. It's called Advanced Battery or Advanced Repair Battery. You can go to the store, the Android store, and look for it. Let me look up here and see who puts it out, but it's called Advanced Battery Repair. And it is put out by Macoca Apps, Macocapapps, all one word, the M and the A being capitalized. And I've used that for pretty much the duration of my phone. And what it actually does is it checks for weak battery cells, weak or inactive cells, and it actually, if it finds any, it actually puts it zaps a quick charge to wake them up again. And it actually does work, in my opinion. And again, I can get a full day's use out of my phone. As a matter of fact, what is it, 6 now? And I still have 74% charge on my phone. So, yeah, give it a try. You never know. Pradkin says, my mom's car needs brand new windshield wipers. I never heard of windshield wipers. I think maybe you mean windshield wipers. What year did you say that was? 2017. So it's 2 years old. If they're the original wipers, yeah, it's about time to replace them. Especially if you live in a dry area, not like where we are. In our area, it's so humid. I can get 5, 10 years out of windshield wipers. But if you live in a really dry area, yeah, you probably replace them about once a year. Yeah, tall dude, 123. Yeah, the Samsung Galaxy or the Samsung Tab A's always, for some reason, had really bad battery life. I had a Tab A, was it an 8-inch one, and it was the same thing. But you still should be able to use that app on there too. Anything that runs Android. Awesome computer. So I have a technology time capsule, pretty much because I have stuff my parents gave me that they had for 10 plus years, even from the 90s and early 2000s, which was a little before my time. Should be interesting. You should do some videos about what you have. I mean, everything old is new again. I know that's a little platitude that I always say, but it's true. We're all into the retro tech now. I'm going to try something because I'm kind of being washed out right now. Yeah, I guess that's the best I'm going to get right now. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to drink tons of water today. I tell you, you go outside for any length of time, and you are one ball of sweat. I have a lot of iPhone fans here. You guys know that I was never much for the iPhone itself. I mean, I had the 3GS. That's the last iPhone I owned, which was like one of the really early models. and it was okay. I just really preferred the Android platform. After that, I think my first Android was the HTC One X back in 2010, and or 2010 or 2011. I really loved that phone. I wish I kept it because that was a really cool looking phone. It was actually white, like all white, believe it or not, which was really revolutionary for the time. Well, hello. Oh, he saw the door was closed, so he's gonna go in the box. Gonna go in the box, big kitty. He doesn't know what he wants. Told you 1, 2, 3. 10.1-inch tablets won't work for me personally. They won't fit in my backpack. 8 inches is perfect size. I have to agree for me as well, but for a different reason. I have very small hands. I'm a big guy with actually pretty small hands. I don't know if I've ever showed you that, but I have very short, stubby fingers and small hands. So for me to hold a 10-inch tablet, I actually have to use two hands, and it gets really hard on my arms. So I usually go for the 7 or 8 inch tablets. Actually, the only tablet I currently own is the Amazon Kindle Fire HD 7-inch, like the second gen, a real early one, but it works really good. The only problem is the version of the Kindle OS it runs is like version 4.1.5, something like that. It's the latest version it can run, and it doesn't have the latest version of YouTube. And the one that annoys me the most is the version of Facebook that's on there. It will only allow me to like a post. I can't love a post. I can't do like one of those wows or angry faces. I can only like posts. So I may have to upgrade that in the near future, but yeah, for now it works okay. Mr. Jimmy, do you know what would be the best Wi-Fi dongle or card for 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi? Netgear. Netgear makes some of the best 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi gear I've ever used. Linksys is questionable. I actually have that Linksys E1900 router that I love, but I can really only use it on the 2.4 gigahertz band. The 5 gigahertz, or in this case 5.8 gigahertz band to be more specific, is really wonky on there. It really doesn't work that well. Stick with Netgear. Netgear makes much better 5 gigahertz or 5.8 gigahertz Wi-Fi gear. Well, funny. I don't think I've ever used an Asus Wi-Fi dongle before. Up to this point in time, I never even knew that Asus made Wi-Fi gear. So you learn something new every day. Jonathan goes, remember, Matt, when the A+ certification test mentioned on the Android phone had removable batteries? Yes, I do. Because yeah, I've taken the test before. Yeah, because most Android phones used to, believe it or not, up until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I think the last removable battery in a Galaxy was the Galaxy S5, I want to say. Maybe the 6 had it too. I know the 7 didn't, but it was either the Galaxy S5 or S6 had the very last removable battery. What are you doing? What are you doing, kitty? What you want? You sitting pretty? It's what they call that, sitting pretty. You sitting pretty, Baxter? You sitting pretty, kitty? Baxter, you want to say hi? Go say hi. Come on. What you gonna do? What? What you want? Go look outside? No. Honestly, if he's up there, he probably sees a fly or a bug flying around, which I probably couldn't even see with my eyesight. S5 was a great phone, removable back, wireless charging, expandable memory, waterproof, and infrared receiver. Wow, IR receivers, that's really going back. Excuse me. Be good. Be good, kitty. You just really trying my patience. The Galaxy J series still uses older Galaxy S4, S5 era batteries. Yeah, my parents have a Samsung Galaxy Sky, or one of the J. I think it's called a J Sky. But yeah, they do. They still use the removable batteries too. Yeah, I'm looking. He definitely sees something. It's a fly or maybe a spider. I actually hope it's a spider because, believe it or not, spiders actually eat the flies. I'd rather have a spider as long as it's not a poisonous one. The J7 Sky is what it is. It's not the Pro. No, it's just the regular one. There was the J7 Sky and the J7 Sky Pro. And honestly, I don't know what the difference is. Probably the Pro has a bigger screen, maybe faster processor, a little more memory. They've been great phones. They're the Walmart Straight Talk phones, and they've had them now for at least 2 years. And funny story about a year in, so probably about a year ago, my dad actually cracked the screen on his, and he actually hasn't done anything with it since. It still works. It's got a crack that goes from the top left of the phone to the bottom right, kind of like this, kind of like a inverted L, and it still works fine. It's not out to the top layer, so if you put your finger on it, you're not going to, crack your finger or cut your finger. But I think eventually we're going to have to replace his phone when it does get worse. Baxter. Dexter. Excuse me. No. It's what he does. He claws at the door when he wants out. No scratching that carpet. All right, let's see. You want to get some likes for Baxter? Who out there likes kitties? Everybody out there a cat fan? Yeah, what is it? You guys got your cute face. Chris Bartlett says meow. He says meow to Baxter. Sometimes you got 2 likes, Bax, George Blakely and Pat Scanlon. Yeah. Okay. One way you can calm your cat down if you want to hold them, you can grab the scruff of their neck here and just kind of pull on it a little bit. It absolutely doesn't hurt them. That's how their mother carries them when they're kittens, and it'll calm them down a little bit. Yeah, you good boy. Paul Kane said, "I'm a dog guy, but grew up with cats." I'm the opposite. I'm a cat person, and I grew up with a dog. So my thing was a little bit opposite to yours. It's not that I don't like dogs. I do like dogs. I just like the convenience of cats. Dogs, you have to walk multiple times a day. They require a lot more attention. Cats are extremely independent. They want you when they want you. So maybe 2-3 times a day they require petting. Other than that, you could leave them alone for a weekend, go away, just leave them food and water, and they can take care of themselves. And yeah, I realize cats are not nearly as friendly or as affectionate. I don't know if I told you guys about that picture somebody put on Facebook. It was a picture of a cat, looked like Baxter, with a $20 bill in its paw stretched out to its owner. And the tagline was, "You want cuddles on demand? Here's $20, buy a dog." And that is definitely true about Baxter. He is more your typical cat personality. Milo and Baxter just want out right now. And as soon as end this live stream, we will let them out. But Mom and Dad were just being too loud downstairs. Yes, I see the hair flying. They both need to be brushed badly. Yes, you do. You need to be brushed, Mr. Baxter. Here. Brush. Brush the kitty. kind of squeeze their neck a little bit, and they get very calm. And they're right. He's had enough. Okay, go on, bud. Good boy. It's about as much as I could hold him. All right, Chris, thank you for attending, and I'll see you at the next one. That's true. Dogs are man's best friend. Do you know that we domesticated dogs, but cats actually domesticated themselves? Originally, the common house cat really wasn't even supposed to be a pet. I mean, they were wild animals. They still have a lot of wild creature left in them, that's still inbred. That's why cats you have to watch out for sometimes. You get the wrong cat, they can be a little hellion. They can run ragged, they can destroy your house, they can scratch you. Luckily, our two guys are really friendly. Oh, actually, you talking about the hair? I had a hair going right on my nose. I hate that feeling too. All right, let's see. What else do we want to talk about tonight? I'll go a little bit longer if you guys want to. We got 15 people here, 14 likes. Thank you so much. And once again, I will just mention it one time. Super chats are always appreciated. And if you feel like I'm doing a good job and you enjoy the content, the way I look at super chats it's a tip. It's like saying, hey, Matt, you're doing a good job. I like your videos. Here's $1 or $2 to put towards an interesting product to review, or $1 or $2 to put in your gas tank so we can go somewhere and I can show you some of the interesting sites around here. Paul Kane asks, any good thrift finds recently? Nothing. Nada, zip, zilch, niet. Zero with a big line through it, however you want to say it. And I think the reason behind that is it's summertime. People are just not doing anything right now productive. They're going on vacation. They're enjoying the nice weather. Come back to school, September, October time, you'll be amazed at how much stuff will be back in the thrift stores. And have I found anything in the thrift stores? Yes. But it's nothing that I would make a video about. We're talking about small things, keyboards, mice, monitors, just little things that you've seen 100 times on my channel that I would not bore you with again. Oh no, Awesome Computer says, I can't go to the thrift store because my mom does not let me go. Probably worried you're going to bring back too much stuff. Well, when I was a minor, I had the same problem, but it was usually with garage sales. Every Saturday, I wanted to go out to garage sales. And of course, they'd be like, well, do you really need to go? What do you need? You already have a TV, you have a VCR, you have a nice stereo. What do you really need? And I'm like, yeah, but I enjoy it. I want to go out. I want to see what deals are out there. And that was kind of the way the conversation went when I was a kid. When I was a kid, there were no DVD players. They were pretty much VCRs at that point. Oh, it's tax refund time in Australia. So you guys should have a lot of good stuff coming out your way. Tax time is always good for thrift stores and garage sales. Reason being is people have money coming in from their refund. They're buying new tech, and their old tech gets tossed to the side, usually donated to a thrift store or put in as garage sale fodder. Best time of the year, bar none, to get stuff. Paul Kane said, weird stuff out by me. The thrift store out by me, thrift stores by me are completely devoid of any remote controls. I'm looking for a Vizio remote. They used to have plenty, but now nothing. Yeah, it's the same thing here. Matter of fact, I am on the lookout for 2 Sony VCR remotes and also a Vizio remote myself. And most of the time, the thrift stores here, you can find them all day long, but they're just empty. Like, I went into my CHKD last night. So what was that? No, it was the night before, Saturday night. went to the electronics section, and they had nothing. They had a few toasters, some waffle makers, and one really old York stereo, all-in-one stereo system, and that was about it. So it's the same thing here. It's just nothing to be had. Oh, excuse me. Oh, been a long day, and I tell you, the heat just takes it right out of you. Oh, a little dribbling there. All right, tubers, I'm ending it here. The questions seem to have dropped off, and I'm getting pretty tired, so hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely stay tuned for some more regular videos coming as soon as this heat breaks and we actually feel like going outside and doing something. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.